The best place to start your grassroots advocacy effort is to understand the differences between education, public relations, advocacy, and lobbying. So let's start with education. Education is basically making sure that public officials understand what it is you or your advocates do. If they don't understand that, they can't really understand the public policy issues that impact you. The next step is public relations. That's making sure that public officials feel positively about what you do. Believe it or not, just because they know what it is doesn't mean that they're going to feel great about it when you ask them to make some changes. Now, the third step is advocacy. Advocacy is asking them to get engaged, and it's the most important step, in my belief, in a grassroots advocacy campaign. A lot of people focus on education and public relations, and that's great. But remember that Congress and state legislatures are decision-making environments, so you do need to find some ways to get public officials involved, and that's where advocacy comes into it. Now, lobbying, to me, is something that the professionals do. That means that they're keeping track of the 10,000 bills that are introduced and finding the 3 that have to do with Code 972 of Section 635 that impact you and your organization. Now, your advocates are sometimes concerned that advocacy and lobbying are the same thing, so sometimes that differentiation can make them more comfortable in engaging in the process. So remember, education is making sure public officials know what it is you do. Public relations is making sure they feel positively about it. Advocacy is getting those public officials to actually do something. And it doesn't have to be a policy ask, it can be a relationship building ask. And we'll talk about some of those differences throughout the course. And finally, lobbying is what the professionals do, so don't worry about your advocates thinking that advocacy and lobbying are the same thing, because now you'll find some ways to differentiate it for them. So I hope these ideas are useful, and we'll talk about all those differences as we go through the course.